I think I realized that my body's been in survival mode since like middle school.
Pick a mode, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I've probably done all those just before lunch today.
The crazy part is that none of that's personality. It's survival.
And apparently there aren't just four anymore. Some people say there's six, some say there's eight now.
The four F's, and not one of them is the F word you'd think.
Though honestly, fuck it probably deserves its own category, don't you think?
That's the one where you've reached full executive dysfunction and you're like, I'll just start a new life in the woods.
Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and fuck it.
This is Angry on the Inside. I'm Jess.
And I'm Jeannine. We're both certified ADHD life coaches.
But this isn't coaching.
And it's definitely not therapy or medical advice. It's just real talk and support for how your brain actually works.
Today, we're unpacking what survival mode actually looks like when you've got ADHD and why your nervous system can't just power down. You deserve some answers. Though they do say now there are options for 6 and up to 8 trauma responses, we are going to stick mainly with the top 4 because they are the most well-known.
And that is the fuck it one, right?
Yes. Plus fuck it. Your brain still thinks you're being chased by a predator, but it's really just your boss asking for a quick check-in.
Our brains just can't filter those feelings like in the moment. That's when that feeling, that flooding feeling, just they come so quickly, we don't even have a chance to pause.
The response of those around us, people seeing us as too emotional, too sensitive, overreacting, being told that doesn't make it better. It makes it so much worse. So much worse.
Oh, you don't know what's going on, right? Suddenly you're there. You don't know what happened. But truth is, your nervous system sees a threat and it responds accordingly. At least that's the way it sees it.
You hear so many people say, even when we're talking about this, well, it's your nervous system. It's just your nervous system. We just bypass and brush off so many important things. And it happens because other people, they don't understand. We are like the human torch nonstop every day, our entire lives. We are inundated nonstop all the time. And everybody says, well, it's just this. And then we start to say, it's just this. No, those things are a big deal. Your nervous system controls everything. Everything. There are people who hold their breath because they forget to breathe because of the way their brain works.
I used to do that when I was a kid. My mom was always afraid I was going to fall down the stairs because I would just stop. I couldn't breathe. I'd just stop when I got upset.
And it's terrifying, right? It's terrifying for parents. I'm sure it was terrifying for your mom. They've proven that by seeing something, your brain will react in the same way as if it were real. I don't know about you. When I'm watching a movie and someone goes underwater, I will hold my breath. I won't even realize it. It's something when I was younger, I wouldn't realize. You know what I mean? I'm much better now that I'm older, but again, it's a visual trigger. Our eyes connect to our brains, and it sends out signals to the rest of the body. It's just odd how that works. If you're wondering about what some common triggers are, projection, overstimulation, feeling unheard, anything that is leaving you shook and disrupting your flow, disrupting your day. And many times these things seem very common and low key to the neurotypical brain. But for the neurodiverse brain, it is very intense. We are more intense about annoyances than we are about intense situations because that's the way our brains are wired to work.
What you said about especially if you're in the middle of something, like that is so me, especially technology things. It's like suddenly for some God unknown reason, the printer doesn't work or you can't get something to connect. And it feels like more, it's not just a blip. It just feels, it feels catastrophic because it's so frustrating. And you feel like I was doing so well. I was, I was focused. I was in the flow. I had everything under control. And now suddenly this happens.
The 4 big ones are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Everyone has them. They're hardwired survival modes.
We could blame our caveman ancestors for those. Fighting looks like rage or snapping, and your body gearing up to protect you.
Flight is running away, mentally or physically. You can scroll, you can clean, you can disappear, you can go quiet. It's all falling under the same umbrella of the response.
And freeze is exactly what it sounds like, that deer in the headlights feeling where you think, just don't move, don't make eye contact, you can't think, you can't even respond.
And fawn, that's people pleasing to stay safe, saying it's fine when it's absolutely not fine. Fawn is so much. Fawn is a loss of boundaries. I think fawn is the most underrated and scariest of all of the responses that can happen to your body. Here's how it shows up in real life. Fight. Snapping at the slow cashier because you already had 9 micro stresses before noon.
Flight, suddenly deciding to scrub the baseboards instead of replying to that one text.
Freeze. Doom scrolling, zoning out, or just nothing. And this isn't laziness, it's paralysis.
And fawn, apologizing for existing because you're afraid you're being too much or too little.
Now for the possible newbies. There's flump, the total shutdown, the nope, we're done here.
And please, which is overcompensating before anyone even asks, because rejection, it feels like danger.
And honestly, if survival mode had merch, it would own the entire line.
We used to always talk about fight or flight. And then I feel like it was just a couple years ago, I heard about fawn, because I think that's the majority of the time. I think that's what I'm doing.
I'd say I'm the fawner. I think that also comes from having to constantly regulate the emotions of the people in the room. Let's say that we spent more than enough time with people who we knew we had to walk on eggshells with. Those people who did experience more fight than flight or fawn or freeze. I think that's, what's the word I'm looking for? The opposite response.
Well, because you don't want to get in a fight with that person, right? You don't want to fight.
Right.
You don't want to have a fight. You don't want to run away, although sometimes that's like really appealing. And you can't really freeze. So fawning is how do I rectify this situation as quickly as possible? How do I take danger away?
And that's absolutely true. I was on the phone with a friend yesterday, and her mother was calling through, and she was like, I'm not going to pick it up right now. I'm just not. I don't think you realize how mean she can get. And this person I was talking to is very, very kind-hearted, very polite, definitely experiencing a fawn response in that situation because she knows you don't want to fight with this person. They'll end up saying something hurtful and mean, and you'll still end up having to deal with them the next day. And though that's not the healthiest way to approach it, it does happen a lot.
And it's probably just going to get worse the next time because they've trampled all over your boundaries, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, it's actually probably more exhausting than if you were to do the fight or flight.
That rage moment, it's not a moral failure. It's a misfiring of your nervous system. That's really what it is. And it just it all comes down, well, it doesn't all come down to it, but it does really flow into that production of cortisol in your body. We get the cortisol belly where we wonder why we can't lose that weight and our guts are sticking out. That comes into like your 30s because that's when your nervous system starts to give out.
A lot of undiagnosed women, they're less able to mask, hide, or overcompensate for those ADHD traits. I do remember seeing some clip. It was somebody who like missed the last ferry of the day. And I know it was showing of, like how bad this person was. And I just remember looking at her and thinking, oh my God, I know exactly how she felt. I bet you she was probably like the, most calm, cool, collected person, fabulous at her job, had her whole entire life together. And it was just, she'd been holding it all together. And then this one thing happened and she just lost it. And I felt such empathy for her. And to have people judging her by that horrible moment. But it was like you could see, it just felt, to me, I could see her just releasing all that crap she'd been holding. And for some reason, that ferry, that was it. That was when the dam broke. We have all had those moments more than we would like to admit. One day I'll share my TSA story. ADHD rage isn't about being angry. It's about being overloaded. The cortisol starts running through your veins, through your body, and it just starts to take over, and your brain just wants to be safe. ADHD brains, so special, but get triggered more, especially in women. If you think about, you're living in that state of constant overwhelm, juggling all your responsibilities, managing everyone else's life, their schedules, you're a people pleaser, you just don't want to disappoint anyone, but you're always in that flight or fight mode, or fawn, or freeze. This is when that rage comes in. Your body is basically bathing in cortisol. And when the cortisol levels spike, it just floods your system. Your heart rate goes up. Your focus is so narrowed. It's just like that's all you can see. You're just in that survival mode. You're not thinking. There's no logic, no empathy, because your brain literally in that moment, it can't hold those thoughts, which is why you say something you didn't mean to say, or you do something that you didn't mean to do. And if you were actually able to have been able to think in that moment, you wouldn't have done it. But you can't. You can't think in that moment. Because we're women, besides having the fluctuating hormones, chronic stress, we also have the pressure of, got to be calm. That fawning, be calm, be accommodating, be a people pleaser. Just right there, that's the perfect storm. Right? Perfect storm of where your emotional dysregulation meets your cortisol. And that's the rage. I know I've been told, like, why am I always stressed out? My ex used to always say, like, you're always stressed out. What are you stressed out about? And I always was stressed out, but I couldn't tell you why I was stressed out. It was just this constant hum of stress.
I'm stressed out because you're using that voice with me right now. That's why I'm stressed out.
What do we actually do when we catch ourselves mid-spiral?
We name it. Ooh, that's freeze, that's fawn. Just labeling it changes the chemistry.
And then go physical. Your body has to feel safe before your brain believes it. Touch something cold, stretch, hum, ground yourself.
Eat something sour. Seriously, the sensory hit can help reset the vagus nerve.
That's true. It is hard to panic when you're puckering at the same time.
Right? You can't outthink cortisol. You have to outbody it.
That is so true, Jess.
We just don't think about it. We need that actual body reaction to pull us out of that trauma response.
Yeah. It's just so hard to do in the moment.
It is. It's hard to do. It's hard to remember, which we talk about that naming. That really does do the trick. It gives itself its own title, its own little life, and then you can get your hands around it and do something with it.
This is a place where therapy can sometimes help you deal with those emotions. An ADHD coach can also help you come up with a plan. Medication, and I know people have different thoughts on medication. I do take ADHD medication, and I will say one of the benefits I have from it is I now have a built-in pause, which I didn't have before. For me, I think that's actually been like the best thing of the medication is I have a pause. Swear to God, it's a split second, but it's amazing.
If this episode hit home, share it with a friend who gets it. The one who's also tired of pretending fine is a personality.
The more we talk about it, the less alone we all are. And remember, you're not the only one feeling angry on the inside.